We're going to discuss how we can elevate bathrooms from a design and innovation point in 2025 and beyond. And I've got three ladies here that are going to have a discussion with me about design and innovation in the bathroom. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves, first of all.
Hello?
It's not working. In a minute.
Hello. Hello. Hello? Hello.
Is it right up? No.
Hi.
Oh,
God,
right, we're off. We're going.
Hi, my name's Ruth Bell. I'm the PR for Roca and LuAnn, but I'm also a journalist and a copywriter, and I've been a magazine editor as well.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name's Nicola Friel. I'm a manager for VitrA Bathrooms. I lead the design and specification team from the Specification Hub in London.
Good morning. My name is LuAnn Nigara. I'm from the States. I'm a business strategist for interior designers. I host a podcast called A Well-Designed Business, where I teach interior designers to be profitable. And I've got 3 books on the subject.
Okay. Thank you very much. So first of all, what I'd like to know is if there was one element in a bathroom that you could design into a bathroom space that would immediately update that space, what would that element be? Do you want to start, Ruth?
I think, one of the things you could choose is a vanity unit. It's such a big piece of furniture in relative terms. It's probably the only piece of furniture in a bathroom. And you can, now there's so many sort of contemporary finishes you can have. Fluting is very big at the moment, and that sort of found its way in from living spaces, and also colour as well. Yeah. There's a lot of good matte contemporary colours that look really nice, and it adds an impact and also is a useful piece to have in the in there for storage as well.
Yeah, storage always good in a bathroom. All right, Nicola.
It's tricky to pick one because obviously it's quite personal to each space, but regardless of what stage the bathroom's at, just changing a key colour or texture can have an immediate and quite easy impact. So, for example, that could be adding a wallpaper to, as if you're lucky enough to have wall space that isn't tiled. But something like changing your brassware colour is quite straightforward. It's not too costly, but it makes a real big visual impact and completely refreshes the space.
Yeah, okay.
I often find designers will change the hardware out and just make an update with that, make more streamlined hardware. Of course, you have the holes that you have to figure out if it's going to work or not, but it's an easy, if you're looking for an easy, quick fix. Right?
What would immediately update your bathroom very quickly to say, right, this is bringing it into 2025, and I say storage is always good, and brassware with all the finishes that we've got. And that kind of brings me on to my next question, because we've seen that we used to just see chrome in the bathroom, and now it's all moved on to black and the matte black. But there are various issues with limescale, and so we're seeing some different finishes come through. So I was just wondering what you guys felt about the next big brassware colour, do you think, Nicola?
I would say brush nickel is definitely a strong contender. It's been slowly creeping into specifications over the last few years, but certainly over the last 6 months, it's now taken the place of brass and copper. But I would say also I envisage there'll be an increase in gunmetal as a more immediate and obvious switch to the matte black. So it's just that little bit softer, a little bit luxe, and ties into that more brush tactile sort of element.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we saw the gunmetal this morning, and I thought, oh, that's a new coming thing. Definitely love that. And I also had a conversation this morning with a designer from the States, and she's explaining to me that we're not done with chrome there yet. So
we're not done with it here. We're desperately trying to move it on. I mean, we're still seeing an awful lot of chrome round about the show, and it still is the main sale in do you find that through the showroom that chrome is still your main sale?
Absolutely. I think for a few reasons, people are more comfortable with it. If people have already got fittings and they're changing one thing, it's already in place. It tends to be more cost effective, so that as a project gets VE'd down, chrome is a staple. But actually, it is. I'm seeing it come through as a slightly more unusual trend, as a decision, in contrast to those matte finishes that are coming in. So it does, and it varies nationally.
Yeah.
You know, if you look in Sheffield versus London, there's quite a big difference on how much chrome is used as a decision piece.
Yeah. Ruth, have you?
Well, yeah, but on the chrome subject, I think the fact that the ranges, even these really designer contemporary ranges, still continue to have a chrome as an option, so people can choose it if they want to, and it is a practical choice.
Yeah.
The only other one I was going to point out is the improved PVD coatings now.
Yeah.
So you're getting these bright colours. You can have colours, and they will endure because they're so much better quality than they used to be. So I definitely there's some colour coming in on brassware as well.
Yes, we have seen that, and there was the sort of debate between whether bright colours are coming in or soft muted colours, and I think it's kind of going for more the soft muted rather than the brights, but they're still out there. Okay, so talk about water saving in the bathroom. It's always a hot topic for the BMA about how can we encourage end users to use less water in the bathroom. So I just wondered if they'd seen any innovations that are coming through that make water saving easier for end users, for the consumer, for the homeowners. Ruth?
It's probably not going to be innovations that anyone in the bathroom industry would think are innovations. It's just the fact that people are getting more used to them and expect them now, such as very low flushing toilets, but also products like rimless toilets, vortex flushing, that ensure that with very low amounts of water, you still get good results.
Yes, a good flush.
Yeah, so that helps that there's been innovation in that area too. So
yeah.
I completely agree. It's definitely that visibility of what are the water saving products and how they can have an impact for water saving and energy for the consumer. Like the products that you've mentioned, but I think it's also more than that. It's about the whole story. It's all good and well, the product itself being water saving in its function, but it's the production part, it's the post-production. So having products that have got the hygiene glazes, so there's minimal water usage during cleaning, and touch-free technology is really advancing water wastage. So that's where we're seeing that come through.
Yeah. And in the UK, in the US, how do you view water saving in the bathroom as an innovation?
I think the thing that I would say about this is that I think it's much more talked about at the design level as a need and at the industry level. So we walk the KBIS show in Vegas every year and so forth. But I think the new trend is the designers are now getting the request from the consumers.
Yeah.
Finally, the consumers are paying attention. So tech and the industry has been making the innovations for the last several years.
Yes, we found that.
And finally, your regular garden variety person is saying, this matters to me.
Yes.
So I think that's actually the next innovation that the mass public cares.
Yeah, and I think that's we've talked about this within the BMA a lot about, and with manufacturers, that why is it not filtering through enough, and why are we not recommending enough water saving products? And what it comes back to, we're not being asked enough for them, and it has to be driven by the consumer demand and a want to save water in the bathroom. Okay, thank you. So we're at Installer Show, so we need to just think about innovations that make it easier for installers to fit products. So we know that from research that products that are quick and easy to fit are the installer choice. So I was just wondering if there was any innovations that you've seen coming through that are quick fit for installers. So Ruth, do you have anything with... Sorry, Nicola, I'm looking at the wrong... Okay. Yeah.
Not so much that it's a quick fix or anything like that, but I think across manufacturers, VitrA included, the dedication to improving the existing behind the wall and the concealed elements so that there is a confidence in them, but also that ease of installation for the installer. It benefits the installer, it benefits the consumer. You can have the best toilet in the world, but if it's on a poorly designed or poorly fitted frame, it's no good. It's like putting a Fiesta engine into a Ferrari. So putting those strengthening of material. So, for example, concealed system frames, they're under continual development, and it's across the industry. I don't think everyone's doing similar things because it's in answer to what we're being asked for by installers, by contractors, and by fitters. So things like the frames being made of stronger steels, being available on sprung lead, so you can have one person installation by having front plates that can give an impression onto drywall, so your cutouts are there. So it's just ease of speed, ease of confidence, because if you're confident in installing a product, you're going to do it more, and the more you do it, the more it's going to work, and so on. So I think driving the message that it's not all about what you see, that behind the wall bit is really important. You know, having concealed parts that are common across product groups, so that there's not ridiculous amounts of maintenance or having to rip a wall out if a product's changed.
Yeah.
It helps everybody involved. So it's not reinventing the wheel, but it's just listening to what we're being asked for, I would say.
Yeah. Grace?
Yeah, to be honest, actually, it's just building on what Nicola says. It's fine. Just to give a small example, that something that Roca has just launched a whole new load of very beautiful flush plates. Who knew? But they're all the different. But it's not, the launch is not just about what you can see. Exactly so. It's about the correspondingly improved frames that have been made with the feet and the height, and that can be adjusted by one person, just the same.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's even more than 50% of the message of this new range is that they can be fitted so much more easily, because battery manufacturers understand that's what's required.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, fitted by one person without the need to be supported by a second person, which reduces costs and helps everybody. LuAnn, is there anything? Not your area. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the role of technology in the bathroom, because we see it all around the home and everything being Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And just wondered what your thoughts were on the role of technology sort of in the bathroom. Is it a developing trend? Is it something that you're being asked for? Is that...
Yes, in the U.S., especially the primary suites, I mean, it does everything but cook your breakfast for you, right? I mean, it's the health trackers in the mirrors, it's the aromatherapy, it's, somebody even said to me the other day there was something with lymphatics, something or other. I don't know. I was like, how does that happen, right?
Yeah.
So
just by looking in the mirror.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know, maybe there's a little jumper here and you get your I don't know. But that's what it is. It's just like, especially at the ultra elite market, it's the more gadgets, the more innovation, the more I can connect it to my phone. I don't know if it's anything like window treatments. In the window treatments, they're changing the motorization and the Bluetooth connections every darn day of the week, in which case, we get customer calls from our customers, and they're like, I can't put the thing on. So, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's fun and it's cool, but it's got to work.
It's got to work.
It's got to work, because you're working with the ultra luxury consumer. And if you're going to recommend all this stuff, I just say, make sure you know how to teach them to use it. Yeah. Okay? Because that's a big fail.
Yeah.
Completely agree. I think if it works, it's fantastic. As long as it's not a gimmick. I think definitely in day-to-day life, obviously, we're becoming more accustomed to technology and things like that. And there are certain technologies that help with, especially with the growth in multi-generational living. Things like the touch-free technology and smart toilets, they aid accessibility and hygiene and all of these things, and they're becoming more commonplace and more expected. So there's definitely a growth in that. And I do think things like smart lighting and speakers obviously add to the experience within the bathroom. There are things that can be done to personalize. So, there are now apps being developed where for smart toilets and showers, you can program in your user settings. So again, for speed and efficiency and user benefit, I think there is just that element of, there are mirrors that can claim to diagnose. Realistically, should they be diagnostic? I'm not too sure if it's taken it a bit too far. And you're quite right. There is a consumer. The consumer question is, it's great, but will it break? There's still a lack of confidence in having electronics and things like that, and that's really where the installer drives the confidence. If they're familiar with the product and they're confident in how it operates and how it can be repaired, should there be a problem or troubleshoot, or if there's a fail-safe. A lot of touch-free have a built-in battery backup. So having those things so that we can demonstrate the benefits and the usages, I think it will grow. But hopefully in a useful way.
Yeah. Ruth?
Yeah, the only thing to add to that is the advancements in the look of the things when it comes to the shower toilets. They used to look like...
Oh, they were huge.
Well, they used to be like things on a spaceship, weren't they? They were like the rocket toilets. But now they're designed to look like normal toilets. And I think that goes a long way to... And also price point is coming down, which is key for the consumer. The fact that you haven't got this monstrous thing in your bathroom, you've got a normal looking toilet. Oh, and by the way, it does all this other stuff. So I think that was something that definitely needed to happen.
Yes.
And has.
Yes. Yeah. No, we did a little bit of research within what consumers thought about technology in the bathroom, and what came through was actually in your bathroom space, they don't particularly want to know that much because it is still a sanctuary. So if you've got a mirror that says, guess what, there's a traffic jam on your way to work when you're still brushing your teeth, you don't ruined it. Yes. Yeah, and I don't want my emails coming through. But if you can control the lighting, if you can, I'm just going to plays music to you, maybe you can send a few messages, that's great. And I say it's a funny story when we were at Ish year before last, Roca had a mirror and basically it counted your wrinkles. And I was like, I don't need that. Yes, and then it sort of it told you what they thought your age was. And what I'm really pleased to say is that they thought that Tom, wherever he is, was older than me. But I think he'd had a heavy night the night before. But no, I don't think it's actually come to market because it was a little bit too scary. Too much information. Okay, so moving on from technology in the bathroom, this is more so technology in design. So we see a lot of AI being used in the design process, or AI in producing images on social media. And I just wondered, how does that help or hinder the design process, particularly, for yourself? When people come in the showroom and maybe it's not a very practical solution.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a growing tool. I think it's important that we begin to understand how it can be harnessed and really understand its limitations. So realistically, with it becoming so commonplace and so available to everybody, there is an increase in consumer created visuals for concepts. So in terms of people that perhaps can't verbalize, obviously that's fantastic. They can get the prompt and give an idea. But really, obviously we do a lot of bathroom designs and layouts. The design, any designer, there's so much more to it in terms of you've got to leave the space so that it's actually a practical build, not just a great concept on paper. So, leaving the space for the behind the wall areas. AI doesn't know where your soil pipe is. So it could create a beautiful bathroom that is completely impossible to build without costing thousands of pounds. So, our job as designers and specifiers is to ensure that the consumer understands how they can create their vision in an actual practical way without it costing the earth. But also, I do think there is going to be a customer expectation for everything to be immediate. And good design isn't immediate. So it's about getting that balance. So where I'm saying harness it, use the AI for the initial concepts. If it's faster, use it, and then build from that and use the software to actually get down to the detail and the construction drawings.
Yeah.
I have 3 thoughts on AI for this. The first thought is, if any designer thinks AI is going to replace them, I don't think you have to worry. Just work with AI yourself and instruct it to create images. And you're just like, that's not it. That's not it. That's not what I meant. I mean, it'll drive you batty, right? It's good and it's quick and it's this, but it isn't always accurate, and it isn't intuitive, and it isn't your creative genius, period, right? The other thing is, it's kind of, and I don't know how this is going to go. I've only started to hear this conversation literally in the last 2 weeks, so I don't know where it's going to head, and I'm not, smart enough to know, but I'm finding that the designers that are truly passionate about sustainable design are not on board with AI in general because of the resources it takes.
Yeah.
And so You have a whole entire movement, at least in the US, I'm sure here as well, with sustainable design, biophilic design, all of this. And you got AI that's literally in direct contrast to it, like from a philosophical place. So I don't know, maybe that's a conversation next year we know more about.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm not smart enough to know that. That's, the thing with that. And then the third thing is obviously the responsible use of it. And the one place where it is helpful is the quick visualization, not the full rendering, not the full deliverable to your client, but I just can't picture the toilet there. Okay, let me take a picture. Let me tell it, put the toilet on that wall. All right, we're done. See it, got it, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
So, it's a crazy mixed bag with AI.
Yeah, so that goes back to what you said about the speed, but then moving it to be more practical, and that's never going to, AI is not going to replace you for a long time in actually making that bathroom work.
Exactly, it's about using it as a decision-making tool. It's never going to give that personalization that you're going to get through a good design process, but it probably is useful, like you say, to have that quick element of, okay, just do it quickly.
Yeah. Oh, exactly what they said. Okay. So this is one about colour in the bathroom. So how's the I don't know how we describe house. It's a platform, sales platform, isn't it, for the home? Now they had highlighted that searches for pink bathrooms were up 114% on last year. So what I'd like to know from you three is, what are your colour predictions for 25, 26? Are they pink, or has House got it right or wrong?
I don't think it's going to be. Well, it might be pink. It might be pink for some people.
I hope it's not going to be pink.
We're very pink here.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Colour predictions are always, you can say something and see whether it comes up or not. It's something that Nicola's actually, personalisation is very key. So yeah, if a load of people want pink, then pink's going to start trending. I feel like we're still not, money is too tight for people to be adventurous.
Yeah.
When we're in times of austerity, people will they're always going to have a white bathroom because they know that they can't afford to replace it in a few years, and that's the material point. But I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about touches of, either colour with your brassware or a brushed metallic finish or something like that. Sorry, I know that's not a colour. But the only things that I have seen that have come through in terms of a difference in terms of colour in the sanitary ware, you might now get matte black or matte grey or cappuccino if you're feeling, not too...
really.
but then again, if you've got that as a base colour and then you add to it, all of a sudden you've got a different aesthetic going on than you have with just the plain white. Yeah. Also, the matte finishes make a difference. I know that doesn't answer the colour question, sorry.
No, I want a prediction.
White.
Well done. Safe. You can put it out there. Come on.
I'm not massively surprised that pink has come under search. Obviously, there is a personalisation element. There are so many shades within each tone that pink is quite broad.
Yeah.
Certainly, we've been seeing a lot of the plaster pink, so those natural organic colours. So, like the cappuccinos, like the mushroom tones, like the sage greens, and the burnt siennas and the terracottas. They're colours, but they are based in nature, so they are layerable. So you're quite right, people aren't going to rip out the entire bathroom, but they may change a basin, or they may change the brassware, or put the artwork up, or change the floor, and add elements. And working within that natural palette, without it being a classic neutral, it adds the character. And again, you can build on it and layer it in. And I think within that, what I've started seeing coming through more recently is those yellows. So the mustards and like the ochres. I'm not a yellow fan, so it's stood out. But I do think we're going to see more of that. So maybe layering onto those pinks and terracottas, not replacing it, but just lifting it ever so slightly. It might just be in towels and things like that. But I think there'll be touches of it, coming through.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point, because in the elite luxury market, when you want to lean into the biophilic colors, the greens, I saw a lot of the green vanities and sinks and so forth here today. when you're in the luxury market, to your point, Ruth, you can play around because you'll rip it out in 7 or 8 years. But to your point, Nicola, if you want those, they're kind of like desert colors, right? The shades of pink, the shades of green, the shades of yellows. They're more muted and muddyish. But it might be in wall coverings and accessories for a more value consumer client that we have, because that's what we find in the US. The ultra rich get what they want in any finish, texture, any place. And the rest of us do it in the small accessories that when the trend is gone, we're not like, oh, great, what do we do with this whole bathroom, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's always a tricky one because I think we change our bathroom maybe once every, 20 years? So, you're not going to put in a pink bathroom. So if you're worried about, how is it going to age? So that is right. We're just going to keep going with white, I think. So as you've travelled around and we've gone to different shows, and I know that LuAnn, you go to a lot of the American shows. What design developments have really surprised you? What have you seen and you thought, wow, that's unusual?
It's funny. I don't know. I don't know that I can think of anything that struck me as that's unusual. But what I love seeing in the last couple of shows is the wood walls and all the texture tiles and just literally that trend towards that spa-like biophilic sort of situation where it feels like you're outside inside.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it qualifies for your question, really. I don't really that I can think of a surprise. I'm sure they're there, not coming to mind. It's just such a zen feeling, right?
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like several years ago it was all modern and, hard. And now it feels all soft and luxurious.
Yes. Yeah, it's very. Ruth, have you seen anything that's made you go, wow, I'm certainly not having that in my bathroom?
Always. But I don't know. It's more as wow, it's finally happened. The Japanese trend has been kicking around for years, and yet there-ish. Finally, you've got all the Japanese soaking tubs, and they've got actual products that are coming to market.
Yeah.
Which it sounds daft, but actually they're quite a good small space solution because they've got such a small footprint.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know how it goes on water usage, but But so sorry, it wasn't so much as the surprise that someone's made a viable product that has come out of that trend, because it does feel, because of the zen feelings that we've been all having, that we have had the Japanese trend for Japandi, etc., for absolutely ages.
Yeah.
And maybe it's finally here.
No, I think that's a good one to look out for.
So what's been surprising to me, and it's a pleasant surprise, is by contrast to all of the luxury and the natural tones we've been talking about being on trend, is the rise of chrome coming back as a design decision. So in a high contrast environment, so at complete opposite ends of those warm layer tones, but having the matte finishes in the darks and the whites and the starks, and then the chrome. So rather than it being a VE option or because it's available, it's a chosen finish, and there's certainly a rise in that. But in terms of something that's, I don't know if it's a trend or it's just something I'm seeing more and more, but it's quite unsettling. Steps up to toilets. I don't know.
Oh, like a throne.
Literally step up one knee. And I don't know if it's just something that I'm seeing more of, or I've seen it a couple of times and now I'm looking for it, but that I'm not on board.
Yeah, I do agree when you say you see something at a show and then you start looking for it, and then it's a danger that you go, now that is a trend. But it's only because it's on your radar. But steps up to toilets. That's
I'm too clumsy for that.
Yeah. Okay. So last question: if money was no object for your bathrooms, what would you have in your bathroom? Who wants to go first? Pass it on.
It's I'm a regular girl, right? I really do love and appreciate just that zen feeling, right? It's like, to your point earlier, Jane, I don't want to know what the traffic is in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that my assistant has already left me 10 messages before I woke up. I like warm floors if it's got radiant heat underneath of it. I like upscale, beautiful touches. But this is why I'm not a designer. This is like literally why, because I think there is a way to just make something beautiful, but keep the simplicity of things. But I get, you guys have jobs to do, and I want you to make money doing them. So don't sell to me, sell to others.
Go next.
I just want more space.
Right, yes, absolutely.
It's the UK bathroom, you know.
Yes.
I'd like
I was trying to explain the size of a UK bathroom to
I'd
LuAnn.
like to not to have to choose between the shower and the bath. I know, or shower, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's about that. It's, you know, when you go to a lovely boutique hotel, it doesn't happen that often, but it's just nice. It's got a shower and it's got the bath and it's got double basin, and you just think, I just want this much space. I think that would be the luxury.
And I don't want to share it, really.
Oh yeah, two, I think. Yeah, that's absolutely it.
Two massive bathrooms. That's great.
I completely agree. Completely agree. If money was no object, I'd just make a bigger bathroom, have a separate bath, have a separate shower. It just feels more luxurious having that space. You know, it's worth putting in the smart lighting in a bathroom of that size. If having a bathroom that's got decent natural light.
Yes, that's a big thing.
It sounds simple, but it really is. That's that. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so now let me rephrase my answer. So I'm a spoiled American. We have big bathrooms. Even our little houses have big bathrooms. So I was not considering that the actual base level luxury.
Yeah, it is here.
It's like, when I shop now, I'm like, oh no, if it doesn't have a separate WC, we're not even considering this house. Like, I can't have the toilet in the same room as the sink and the bathtub. Like, right? So apologies.
I know. I showed LuAnn a sink like this, and she's going, "What is that?" So it's a cloakroom sink. That's the size it can be. It's like this. Oh, where do you put all your stuff?
I know. Where's the toothbrush?
Yeah. So that's what we have to do.
What's yours, Jane?
Mine. I think I would splash out on a smart toilet. I'm kind of moving. I didn't like them when they first came out. And I just say they were huge and they used an awful lot of water. But now I'm thinking, that heated seat and that light at night? And I think that's what I'd spend my money on. Yeah.
Light at night. That's true.
Yeah.
My hotel room was last night my hotel room was either all lights off or huge light on. And I'm like, I don't know my way around here yet. I'm going to break my neck in the middle of the night.
I just want to walk into the bathroom for the toilet to light up and the lid to come up and it to be warm. That's it. I'm easily pleased. Right, thank you so much, LuAnn, Nicola, Ruth. Thank you, and thank you to the audience. Coming.